Good afternoon, Robert Scribbler. It is June 6th, 2018. Now, in this segment, what I'm going to discuss with you is the potential outlook for U.S. wildfire season in 2018. How bad are the fires going to be this year? Now, this is a particularly concerning question because last year was a very severe wildfire season. In terms of damages, it was the most destructive wildfire season on record. But before we get into risks for 2018, I'd like to explore with you some of the ongoing systemic changes that are occurring in our climate that are increasing wildfire risk overall. Now, as we can see from this publication by the Union of Concerned Scientists, is that wildfires are increasing and the frequency of large wildfires are increasing as well. So wildfires are increasing in size, and the number of large wildfires that are occurring are also increasing. And this is primarily in the US West, but we have also seen trends for worsening fires over much of the United States as well. Now, this trend also coincides with a lengthening of the wildfire season in this region. In the early 1970s, the average length of wildfire season in the West was 5 months, and today it is more than 7 months, and in some regions, the wildfire season is now considered to last year-round, particularly in parts of Southern California. So in the West, the fires are getting larger, they're lasting longer, the number of large fires is increasing, and the length of fire season is increasing. Now, why is this happening? Well, the primary cause is increasing temperature, which is driven by human-caused climate change. Now, increasing temperature increases fire risk due to a number of factors. The first factor is that increased temperature increases evaporation rates, and this dries out lands more rapidly, and it also dries out forests and vegetation, so it provides more fuels for fire. In addition, snows are melting sooner, so there's less water available in elevated regions and in lakes and rivers during the dry season, and so this increases the drying out of soils and compounds the drought risk. In addition, increased evaporation itself compounds drought risk, and the increased rate of evaporation and precipitation can provide more fuels for fires in that when it does rain, rains tend to be more intense, which tend to produce burst growth for vegetation, which then subsequently dry out more rapidly during hot and dry periods, which are more frequent. Now, as the Earth continues to warm due to fossil fuel burning, the West is projected to see more lands burn as a result of this temperature rise. Now, how much lands burn does depend on how much additional fossil fuels we burn and how much additional carbon human activities pump into the atmosphere. But in the worst case scenario, lands are projected to burn by an increased rate of up to 650%, and rates are likely to at least double over the coming decades. But as the Union of Concerned Scientists note, the choices we make today will determine how much risk we face in the future, whether it is something that is difficult but possibly manageable, or something that is increasingly catastrophic. Now, this is a future projection. We should note that the recent fire season, 2017, was one of the worst on record, and if you think that was bad, what we're facing in the future is going to look worse to a whole hell of a lot worse. So looking at 2018, what might we expect? So presently, the U.S. Southwest is experiencing substantial drought. And what we see is that the driest regions include New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Kansas, Utah, parts of southern and southeastern California, and parts of northern Texas, as well as sections of Oklahoma. Now, these very dry conditions are generating increased fire risk in these regions for the month of June, and so we see above normal to much above normal fire risk. Now, presently, the fire season is about the third worst on record compared to the most recent 10-year period. And we should note that the most recent 10-year period includes among the worst fire seasons on record and among the highest rates of burning. So this sample is a sample of the worst of the worst. And so third worst on record for the past 10 years is pretty intense. We've already seen a number of rather intense fires, but we're a bit behind last year at this time. And we're well behind 2011 at this time, which saw substantial burning. However, there is quite a lot of concern, and wildfire officials are stating that this year's wildfire season could rival last year's, which was one of the most devastating on record. And they cite drier than normal conditions over large portions of the western United States. Now, just going to look at a few fire complexes. During recent days, we've seen a number of fires break out over California, and most of these fires now are relatively under control. You can see in red here in these little red dots, these are hotspot areas. And if we zoom in, you can still see a few smoke plumes coming from some of the recent fires that have burned in Southern California. And, this is June 5th satellite shot from NASA. And you can see these fires breaking out. But the most intense fires that we've seen are in Colorado and New Mexico. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on one complex here in the satellite shot. And you can see that these fires, this is a 20-mile scale here over on the left. I don't know if you can see it. But so about from here to here, it's about 20 miles. So this complex includes a rather long burn scar, probably about 5 to 6 miles long, and a smoke plume that stretches out at least 100 miles. I'm going to zoom in a bit closer, and so that you can see this hot spot here and this ongoing fire. See, this section here is a large burn scar, and this is in southern New Mexico, which includes one of the largest complexes that we've seen. Looking at this, we can see that active acres from wildfires is presently 100,000, and that there are 3 large fires burning in New Mexico, 1 large fire presently burning in California. I'm sorry, in Colorado, and 3 large fires presently burning in California, with 2 burning in Arizona. Also note that there are 4 large fires burning in Alaska, and it's not typical at all that we would see large fires for this time of year in Alaska, but temperatures have been very warm up there near the Arctic Circle. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a later post, but that's just something that we should keep an eye on, because Arctic fires have been a serious issue during recent years. So to sum up, wildfire season for 2018 poses substantial risks. We presently have a number of large fires burning. Fire officials are very concerned about this fire season, and the long-going underlying trend worsening wildfires across the United States is climate change, human-caused climate change. And the only way that we are going to reduce that risk is to look at effectively reducing our rate of fossil fuel burning as rapidly as possible.